Here I want to speak about destiny. We each have a destiny within us, a purpose to fulfill. It's what I call the golden thread. It is the pathway that is most conducive and most intrinsic to who we are. We can all have glimpses of this, and it is necessary that as we mature, as we ripen into our individuality and to really become one out of many, this is when destiny becomes apparent. This is when it begins to dawn on the individual that he is here for a reason, that he has powers, capacities, potentials, faculties, resources inside that cannot be exhausted, that cannot be imposed upon, that cannot be taken away from him, that nothing can stand between man and his destiny. But in order to understand this, we have to begin the process of individuation. We have to become one out of many. We have to step away from the familiar. We have to step away from the common path so that we may find the road to reality. And the road to reality will lead us to our destiny. In other words, we have to be able to leave behind the conditions that raised us so that we may find ourselves truly, and then enter back into those conditions but not affected by them, so that we can be in the world but not of it. The path that we have found, we can bring that back into the world but not become bound and hopelessly ensnared by the world. Most people are in the world not by choice, but by the belief that that is all there is. But beyond that, within the heart of every single individual, that every organism, every organic and inorganic material in this universe has a spark inside of it, a destiny, a pregnant flame waiting to be born. Because we are all sparks of a greater flame. And we each carry within us this divine destiny that individualizes itself into whatever it is that we are called to do in this life. Now, there are shadow callings, and then there are real callings. There are callings that seem good in the moment, but we take the path and it's filled with error, inconsistency, and it's like a test that forces us to recognize our true path. And we all have shadow callings. We go in one direction and it doesn't work out. We go in the other direction and that doesn't work out, until the point where we're exhausted almost. And then suddenly in our exhaustion we see a glimmer of light. And this is the glimmer of light that is harder to see than all the other pathways. Although it's harder to see, its pull upon us is far stronger. And we have to cultivate that light throughout our lives so that we are led to the true fulfillment of our destiny. But we have to exhaust all of the other options first, because the last thing we want is to be going down the pathway that is the best pathway for us, the most right, the most true path for us, but have the baggage of unfulfilled dreams, unfulfilled this and unfulfilled that, things we never did, things we never let go of. Once we let go of all of that, we've gone through the process of testing and experimenting, and then we know that what we see in front of us is our destiny, because we've exhausted everything else. This is why we have to become alchemists. We have to experiment with life. Now, we have to become alchemists to the point where we become really good at experimenting, so where we can try something with the least amount of time wasting, where we can get into something, experiment, learn, extract, and then move on, instead of getting hopelessly bound into something and hitting our head against the wall and ending up in confusion. We want to be able to go straight ahead. Is this for me? Is this not for me? And then move on, so that what is really waiting for us can get to us without us creating all of these obstacles. Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? Experiment first. Test the waters on everything. And then eventually, destiny becomes apparent. Destiny becomes obvious, because nothing else reaps any fulfillment apart from that thing that one day will dawn upon us. And perhaps it really has. Some people are fulfilling their destiny and they don't even know it. Because destiny is not something that comes to you and explains it in a rational way. It is something that you can even be born into. Just being born might be your destiny. Okay? Your destiny is in the realms of normalcy. It's not some abstract thing you have to meditate on in a dark room for 50 years. It is the most simple and obvious fact of your life. It's just that people are strayed from it by external pressures, circumstances, conditions, and the irresistible pull of temptations all around us. Once those things are done away with, and we recognise them as hindrances, if we want to see them that way, then we get closer and closer to our destiny, our true destiny. Not because there was anything in the way, but simply we removed our attention away from so many different things that all that is left is destiny. Now, it's not a complicated process. As I said, some people are already fulfilling their destiny. But for a select individual, or select individuals who are not satisfied, who know deep within themselves that they are here for a reason, and what they're doing right now is not that reason, no matter how many thoughts of other people in their heads come up telling them this and that, and how privileged they are and this and that, the divine does not care how much money you make. That's a man-made invention. That's a man-made game that we play. All the divine cares about is, are you fulfilling the reason why you were born? You were put here for a reason. Now that reason could be totally mundane in the eyes of many, or it could be totally miraculous to the point where we think, how could we ever fulfill this? How could we fulfill that? It doesn't matter. Because when destiny comes upon us, it will flood us. It will become so painfully yet ecstatically apparent to us that nothing can turn us back afterwards. And a lot of people end up depressed and anxious because they've seen the light of who they really are, but they try to go back and it just doesn't work anymore. Every time they try to step back into who they used to be, some kind of error takes place that cripples the mind and the emotions and even the body. We just become inactive. We think, how can I go back to how I used to be? Why did I have to be burdened with this destiny thing? But it's not a burden. It is the light bulb moment. It is the aha moment. Suddenly we know, and the energy is ripe and ready. Now what are we going to do with it? Well, that's the call of every individual. Now we're going to get deeper into this. This was a spontaneous recording that I thought I wanted to share. Start with something fresh. And we're going to definitely get deeper into this because it's profound and it's essential for a human being to understand, to know totally deep within themselves, mind, body and spirit, know totally with every fibre of your being that you are here for a reason. But we are dominated by the five senses. We have put so much worth in the five senses that we are blind to the inner world, that there is a spark inside of us that knows why we're here. It is like a flower that is trying to grow, but we are spending so much energy on doing things that have nothing to do with who we really are. But it's like we're just getting by, as some people experience it. Just get enough to get by so we can continue getting by to get enough to get by, and so on it goes. We are here for a reason, and I hope to make that apparent to us.